What is going on, All-Terrain Nation? Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, you know the drill. It does not matter what you drive. This is your All-Terrain Nation. I'm your host, David Boyd, and this is a special surprise time. I've thought, why not, man? There's been a lot going on. What's up, Frank B? Been a lot going on in the automotive world this week, and I thought, well, why not do an ATN live? It's been a I don't know, a couple weeks, I think, since Danny was on, and I thought, why not, man? But what's up, Kelly? What's up, guys? Guys, smash that like button. I'd greatly appreciate that. Help people find us. And we'd talk some pickup trucks, man. First off, cheers. It is a Friday, and I'm feeling the effects of the week, and I'm ready to relax, man. So it's football season. Man. Football season. Got my jersey on, going for my boys this weekend, and hopefully you guys are doing all right, and we're going to have a great weekend. I know that finally here in Middle Tennessee, the weather has finally started changing. So we're going from, what's up, Radical Rides? We're going from 100 degrees here in Middle Tennessee to a reasonable 85 degrees. It's like here in Middle Tennessee, man, it just like a switch, it all changes. And I guess I turn my lights on to be all right. It all changes, and it gets crazy here. So what is going on? Kelly just got home. Let's see. Frank B says he loves that 22 Silverado inside and out, man. I do too. I'm very impressed with that vehicle, and I've said it for a while that I think that Chevy's needed to step it up. And yeah, the Cowboys did lose against a 45-year-old quarterback. But I've said it for a while. Chevy needed to step it up, man. Like, I've not been interested in that brand's pickup trucks for a long time, other than probably the Corvette. They haven't had much that I've been interested in. I'd like a ZR2 package into Colorado, except that truck's getting quite old. And they're midsize trucks. They just, I don't know, they feel too car-like to me on the inside. They're too nice almost. The seating position, the way it wraps around, the console wraps around with the columns or the shifter in the middle there, just isn't necessarily for me. But we'll get into that in just a minute. Yes, kudos, Frank says, for keeping the V8 alive. Well, you know, that 6.2, Chevy knows that 6.2 inside and out, and I'm sure there was little to no development cost for that, right? Oh, man, drinking a celebratory hard cider, Radical Ride says. Yes, dude, congratulations, man. Let's see who all we got. We got Mr. John Wilderman. What's going on, buddy? Hopefully you guys, once again, hopefully you guys are having a good Friday. I'm a little not under the weather, but I'm just kind of feeling you know, the old whether you agree with it or not, the old poke will get you eventually, and sadly I had to go down that path. So anyways, I thought, what a better way to hang out with everybody here. So let's see. If you can't see, I'm starting to get some decorations up of the new studio here. So we're starting to get some things up. I've got, I think, a picture that I still want to put up over there and a few things. But, you know, Broncos got to be represented, right? Let's see. What do we got? What do we got back there? We got the C8. We got the Willys edition. We got the Bronco, the two-door Bronco hardtop and the no-top. We got a Nissan. I'm standing in your way now. We got the Nissan Warrior concept. We got a DeLorean because I love DeLoreans. We got Knight Rider sitting here. And we got a little Nissan... little 620, I believe it is, sitting there. What's up? What's up, Tim, with Pickup Truck plus SUV Talk? I know where Tim's at right now. He's in the Dallas airport. And how many drinks in, Tim? I was talking to Tim on the phone a little bit ago. I heard Crown. I heard Crown with light ice. So I'm going to have my sip of my Coke Zero. But I got the 27 tonight, man. I have to say, somebody needs more toys. I do need more toys, Tim. I have to say, we'll do a whiskey review real quick. The Jack Daniel's Frank Sinatra is really, really good. But I think pound for pound, the 27 is a lot cheaper and a lot smoother. So just a couple. Tim says, Tim, I was waiting for you to. I thought Tim's gonna be bored. He's gonna see the chat or the video pop up and wanna poke the bear a little bit. But so let's see, what do we got going on here? We got, first off, I want to get this was kind of inspired by a conversation me and Tim were having earlier, but I was thinking about these what's on the market right now, the full size truck, the mid-size trucks, and where would you go right now? There's we got a lot of old vehicles out there, but we got a lot of new things coming up, man. And I'm seriously curious about where you guys would what's got your interest. We got new Toyotas coming up. We got a Tundra that's coming up sometime this year. We've got, obviously, we've seen if you watched the video I dropped a little bit ago, we dropped the 22 Silverado. Those are coming out. Big improvements on that vehicle. I've been a big fan of the Silverado, the new front end of it. Over the past 10, 15 years, I've not been a fan of the Silverado at all. They hung on to the 90s design just too long with those early 2000s, and they tried to do those like angry lights that I never could get in line with. And but now what's this one been out since 18, I think, the new Silverado, and now we kind of get a refresh of it. The interior is so much better. I mean, like, so much better. Frank B says, Dan the man, thank you so much for encouraging people to smash that like button. For me, the Silverado, the interior has always been pretty good, except for the infotainment screen. I've never liked what Chevrolet's done with these new big tablet style screens, and the new one with that 13-inch screen, man, that 13-inch screen is massive, and I like it. I think in the video I talked a little bit about how, you know, the Ram has the vertical screen, and I think I like the horizontal screen a lot better. I think it's more practical. I think Ram's tech needs to step it up just a touch. I think it's great, but I think definitely this is with what GM's got going on right now, it's going to definitely push everybody a little forward. I think let's see, Uconnect for FCA or Stellantis or whatever. With the Uconnect 4 in my Jeep is pretty freaking amazing. I wish the screen was bigger. And even in the Wranglers, if you look at the Wranglers, like, what is it, 8.5 is the biggest screen you can get now. You've got the new Nissan Frontier with their big 9.25 screen, something like that. Suddenly those Wrangler screens are going to start looking old. And I feel like we're playing Battle of the Screens now. It used to be Battle of the Horsepower, but since we're all going hybrid and EV down the road, you know, that doesn't seem to be as important as who can get the largest touchscreen in their trucks. But I was with looking at watching the launch and everything of the new Silverado. I was pretty impressed with I was pretty impressed with the video that they put together. I was watching one of the media videos, and a wide range of a cast there. They had, and I'm not talking about the celebrities. I'm talking about the actual employees. You had a couple designers. You had the Italian guy that's did the interior. You had your color specialist who claims to off-road. They did a nice presentation of it, and of course, GM spent a bunch of money. I know they've got like Chris Pratt and a few of these people out there pushing this ride for them. But what's funny is, we're in September. That truck is a 22, but you're not going to see that truck till late spring. That's what's crazy about it. I think that their promotions and everything was in line, ready to go, but we can rewind the clock back to December of 19, and GM, their truck plant went under strike, and so they weren't building any trucks. I think, what was it, almost the whole month of December, I think they were striking. And then you add, you know, what happened in late February, and the world shuts down for a few months. And poor GM, you know, we think Ford Bronco has had a cluster of trying to get launched. Poor GM can't even get chips for anything, it seems like. So if you're a GM employee, I salute you for hanging in there. But the couple things that we'll get into, let's see, there's the truck up there we can talk about. So I like the design of this. I'm only going to talk ZR2 tonight because I'm pretty off-road oriented. Where do you guys stand with this whole push to get your full-size truck off-road capable, front and rear lockers, the aggressive tires and stuff. And they're all talking about, oh, we're going on the trails. We're going to take this to the trails. I'll say this here on the East Coast. At no point am I ever probably taking a full-size truck like this off-road. Not what I consider we do around here. Now, maybe service roads, fire roads, stuff like that. That would be fun. But been my experience with most of that stuff, you don't need four-wheel drive, let alone front rear lockers and maybe out west. If you live out there where Mr. Esterthal with pickup truck and SUV lives, you might need a little bit more capability. Obviously, you can take these things to Moab, Utah. I don't think I would ever take a full-size truck down to the Rubicon. But been my experience off-roading all around the world, man. I don't know where, I like seeing these big lifted full-size trucks, but at no point do I know where you take these big lifted full-size truck. Is this just where the brands are looking at Overland guy? You look at Toyota Tacoma guy. I hear a lot of people that they get those trucks, they're excited about it till they load them down and that thing's already underpowered. And they got the rooftop tents and all the gear on there. And then what do? You got this underpowered vehicle that's got all this gear and you can't do anything with it. But then they jump up to a Tundra or maybe the new Silverado, and you've got all this gear and still plenty of power, but you're just too big for the trails. So I'm kind of where you guys stand on that. And let me see what you guys are talking about here in the chat. Let's see. John says, I'm selling my GMC Sierra for a Bronco. John, what year Sierra do you have? Let's see. Frank B, yeah, I like it because the cluster, the 14, 18 Silverado is much better than the newer ones. Okay. Is it a refresh? Bug Guy asked. LT on up. Yes, all the trims, and I'll pull up a. Let me pull up their media on this, and we'll walk through this because they do. Oh. Look at, there's Tim. Well, I'll bring Tim in just a second here, guys. Tim could not stand to not be in the game. He's bored. He's going crazy. And let me see if I can't live fix this problem. Let's see. Tim, are you there, buddy? Oh, now they can hear you. So while I'm fixing the video, man, what is going on there in Dallas, Texas?
So yeah, this is the United Club, right? All Fancy United Club. There are the planes, right?
And they can't see you just yet. Give me just a second.
Okay, all right. So I'm looking at the plane. I think I'm flying out of that plane. The one I can sit on my.
I love that plane.
Yeah, I think that's Gate E7. I think that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
I don't know. I really don't have a clue. There's a guy who's out enjoying the evening air here in Dallas. He's got his mask on outside. And he's checking out the what's going on. I'm watching the grounds crew figure out. I have upgraded to thank you very much, United, first class, heading to Denver tonight. So I will be indulging on the way back to Denver.
Nice, man.
So it is the Mile High City in Denver, and I may be high by I get there, but it's all good. It's travel, man. I got a 15-minute drive home from the airport.
Man,
I just got to make it home.
Yeah, you're living the rough life there, buddy.
Oh, it is rough.
So I missed your last stream, man. What happened on your last stream?
Oh, it was chaos.
Was it?
Jill argued with me as usual, and I got no points in, and no, it was fine. It's you're talking about what both sides tried to buy. What's interesting about that is as we were talking earlier, is that the conversation was a 3-liter Duramax, and how many problems there are with that.
Yes.
Like just I mean, it's not being built anymore. It's on delay. We've had a long start, no crank situation. I was actually talking to my friend who runs Expedition Portal, Scott Brady, today, and good guy.
Yeah.
And he actually owns a GMC AT4, and he said the same long crank, no start situation on his truck.
Really?
And it's a very interesting situation. And so the more Duramax diesel owners I talk to, and the thing is like, I really like that engine. I would actually buy that truck with that engine, but it's terrible. I should ask, am I on the screen or do I need to
Not
call
yet.
back?
I'm having. It's not wanting to capture your video real quick. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
let me put you on hold just a second, Tim. Hold on just a second.
All right.
All right, let's do this. Guys, bear with me. You guys know how tech savvy I am here. All right, let's join. Let's see if we can join that call again. And let's Tim, bear with me, man. I don't. Sometimes OBS, you know the OBS pains. Sometimes it doesn't want to grab the signal for some reason, but I think they can still hear you though.
Yeah, so I mean, all those issues with that Duramax, man, it just makes me concerned. Like, what's going on with that? Like, are they able to solve it? Are they able to build it? It's a great engine. I just don't understand the problems.
So break it down, because I haven't been paying. I know you like that truck, but I haven't been paying a ton of attention. Start from the beginning. What is going on with this thing?
Wait. You have not paid attention to my videos?
Hey, man.
And now I'm on your video? I don't know. Just, can we be friends anymore? I don't know what's going on with this.
No, what I'm saying is I've been stuck in Bronco world for so deep that some of the other brands, like GM hasn't had anything exciting for me to talk about. So I've been kind of stuck in, I forgot there's a GM out there.
Yeah, so there's an issue with that engine. I'm looking at pulling your live stream right now. I'm checking things out. Make sure I don't still see stuff on the screen. I'm telling you.
You're coming.
Challenges going on tonight. Basically, what they are finding is that there is a sensor on top of the camshaft that when you hit the start button on the truck, the sensor activates and it spins an exciter wheel. The exciter wheel turns the camshaft, which turns the crankshaft, right? That's how it works. I think it's something different. Anyways, the belt turns, crankshaft turns, engine turns over.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what happens. And so, I see myself on there. I got to remember what it's a little bit complex, but basically the exciter wheel is this little wheel that spins to engage that stuff. And when they're producing this truck, what they're learning is that exciter wheel is coming in bent. And there was a microscope that went in there and they see if that exciter wheel is bent. And so we're on like TSB number 7. Like they thought it was ECM reflash. Done. Nope. They thought it was this, that, and the other. Nope. They put a microscope coat, check the exciter wheel. The crazy part of the exciter wheel is that you have to pull the cab off the frame to get to the wheel. Because everything is on the backside of the engine by design.
Yeah.
And so the latest fix is to put a shim next to the exciter wheel to move it over more to engage the belt to turn the crankshaft when the button's pushed. That I just found out last night from some people is not working either. So quite literally, I don't think that GM knows what the problem is.
Well,
like they're throwing straws out there.
Yeah. Well, this engine though, it's relatively the same engine they've been using. No, that's a 2.8. That's a 2.8 in
2.8.
Yeah. Okay.
That 2.8 built in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And it's a little 2.8 engine. So the biggest question is Tahoe, Yukon, Escalade all have this engine. So does Sierra and Silverado. So if these guys are having problems with it, what's going to happen on those full-size truck or full-size SUVs? And it is just it's mind-boggling because here's the thing that's really frustrating about this whole situation is that it's not a life or death situation. It's not like it's a major flaw that's going to destroy the engine and make it a terrible engine. It's a very, what I'm learning from people is it's a very big annoying.
Yeah. It's
very annoying. Like I was talking to Scott Brady about it, and he got or last time we were talking about it. He's like, yeah, he goes, it'll do it. It'll time out when it's cranking, and then I stop and I press the button again, fires right up. He's like, it's just annoying. He goes, and his truck's got like 6,000 miles on it. He says he's had it 5 times already.
Wow. So
it's not the end of the world, but what does it for me is it creates questions in your mind on how reliable that engine's going to be long term.
When it's crazy, all the problems are having with that now, and how aggressive, with the Silverado and everything, or the Suburban and all that, they were like aggressively like, we're putting this in everything, and I've seen some on dealer lots, and for them to have this much problem so quickly.
Yeah, it's a very controversial engine. I've heard from friends in the industry that they've had some issues with the engine breaking down already. They've had some problems, this long crank no start situations going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been a long-standing concern over the 150,000 mile belt inspection, meaning a drop transmission to get to that.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm very frustrated by it because I really like the engine.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, you've talked about this.
Oh my goodness! And so, but I'm like, I really like the engine, but my goodness, these issues they're having with it. And so, I don't know. I was talking today about it a little bit with some of my colleagues I was with at this event, and I said, the reality is we're all going to just go battery electric, and then we'll have a whole new host of problems.
Yeah.
Right. Engine transmission problems go away because it'll be battery electric, and then who knows, sensor problems will be a problem, or copper wiring will be a problem, or whatever. Or like, I just found out today they just recalled like 150,000 Tundras because the headlights may catch on fire. And I'm like, I'm 43 years old. I've never heard of a headlight catching on fire.
Well, I will say, man, they do, there's little cooling fins and stuff on a lot of that stuff now, and they crank out the heat. So but the old days, the old halogens and stuff, you never worried about that stuff. But all this, it's something about the way, they use less amperage, but the way that it heats up is crazy. And who would have thought 20 years ago, you thought, well, my car caught on fire because the headlights.
Right. Yeah. I'm so confused on what my plane has arrived. No, I think so. No, I don't board for another hour.
I was gonna say they have to fuel it and clean it and all that.
Yeah, I think that's E7. So here you go, guys. I'm on the screen now. So there it is. There is the fantastic Dallas airport, and there you go. There's the United Club.
Nice.
Which I actually there's a bar over there. That was a bar, but I learned this in traveling. Is that United Club has a free draft beer, and I think they had one free whiskey in Denver. Don't have it here. Anyways, after a certain hour, you can get free beer in here.
Nice.
Big fan of that. I'm not hoity-toity because I have the United Club. Mm-hmm. I bought it because I figured out the cost-benefit there is that every time I go to buy anything at the airport and eat here, it's $20.
Yeah.
Versus just buying the United Club. And basically, at the end of the year, number of flights I'm on, I actually save money. So There you go. I'm being practical.
Yeah. Well, what would be fun, Tim, if you go order a drink, we'll just turn the camera over that way so you can talk to the bartender and just, hey, you're streaming on YouTube too, guy, bartender. That's why the drink is made right too.
Oh, we're well acquainted. But, so like, I don't know. And we've gone down this road earlier today, but I don't know what to buy. I mean, you have.
Well,
I
didn't want to ruin your thing, but I thought it was a good question to ask our audiences about. Hey, what's the exciting truck right now? And this has been, as far as like little midsize trucks. This is, I guess, Nissan is kind of the only excitement right now. Tacoma's, it's so old, and we know a new Tacoma's coming probably late next year, I would think. We've got some new full-size trucks. We know Toyota's got something down the road they're going to do that way. We've obviously we got the Chevrolet yesterday that popped out. Ford, it seems like every 6 months changes their vehicle, so I'm sure they're going to have 4 press releases before the year's up about the 4 next models they're doing, but they won't actually build them. They'll have chip issues and can't get them out. But I'm waiting for some like Hyundai or somebody to bring their full-size to the market and be like, hey, we're going to jump into this too.
I think that's so. Without sharing information I can't share, I think that the chip shortages are going to make a problem for a bunch of YouTubers this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us YouTubers or small businesses, whatever, we review vehicles, are going to have a hard time buying a new vehicle this year. Yeah. And I'm seeing that. Like, I can go buy a truck tomorrow. Like, I really could. But what trucks would I buy that makes sense for the channel? And this may be the circumstance where I'm going to buy something that is not ideal, just to make sure I have something for taxes and have something to review and talk about. So I find it very fascinating this time of year that with the shortages and everything, I mean, I should have had a new truck last month.
Yeah.
It's typically how things work out, the product cycles like that. But with shortages, chip shortages, like that. Is that 7 or 6?
This is right here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Sorry,
gotta keep Tim straight here.
I know I got to make sure I get the plane, but I do think that there's a lot of concern about can you even buy a truck. And this is, I guess, my bigger issue with this is that it's not just YouTubers. So, end of year, December is a huge time for businesses to spend money, right? So you have to spend money to get tax write-off. So I mean, a lot of businesses will buy fleet vehicles year end that way they get the tax write-offs and they can move forward the following year. And so when you have a situation where you have the chip shortages, rubber shortages, seat foam shortages, people shortages, right? And so you have a situation where it's coming December, and if you're not going to have fleet sales because you have nothing on dealer lots to sell, what's going to happen? And what's going to happen specifically with like situations like Ford?
Well,
Ford does a ton of fleet sales, and fleet sales for me and a lot of businesses always happen latter part of the year.
Yeah.
Why would you buy it now? And I don't know. It seems like there's a situation going on there.
Well, where, I think I asked you this a couple streams back when you've been on. Where does Ford go? They've got all in Kentucky. They've got all those trucks being stored, just waiting for chips that are all 21s. And we're in the 22 cycle now. We're just entering 22s, and they've got how many thousands of vehicles just sitting there now. There's a market for them, especially commercially. There's always a guy looking for a new truck for their business, but not all those are fleet vehicles. Some of those are just ready to showroom vehicles. And do they heavily discount those, or has it been because they've not been able to get any vehicles out? People are just so hungry for a new truck that they're like, "Hey, I'll pay retail. Just get me a vehicle."
Yeah, I mean, I saw a news story the other day that Chevy's doing the same thing. There's an old Yokomo plant, I think in Indiana or someplace, that they're actually parking stuff at. So there are every brand's doing this. I mean, they're just building stuff and setting it aside. So, do they discount those? The market's so hot, people are doing dealerships doing market adjustments. Dealerships should be hurting this year too because they can't meet year-end numbers when they have nothing to sell. Right. So I don't think there's discounts on this at all. I think we're going to have a situation where it's going to be a 2021 and a half, 2022 and a quarter vehicles. I mean, God bless if you go to AutoZone and try to get windshield wipers because the model year is going to be so messed up.
Right, yeah. Yeah, in that 10 to 15 year truck buyer guy that's out there looking for those $4,000, $5,000 trucks, eventually he's going to need parts, and he's going to be like, the AutoZone guy's just throwing his hands up like, I don't know, man, what you call this thing.
Well, and you got model year changeover. So I mean, I was talking to Chevrolet about this at the event they had. I was doing a live stream chat, and I said, I was like, well, can you bring the 21 or 22 Chevy Silverado to market with all the features?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, that's our game plan. I'm like, well, that's fantastic.
That's everybody's game plan.
Great, right? But I mean, you could get. It's like the whole active fuel management and dynamic fuel management being thrown to the weeds because of chip shortages. So do you get a 22 Silverado with the new interior and the new engine and everything going on, and then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, I don't have this into the activation because it's good because I don't have it, but maybe you do want it, and how do you go to Carfax and resell your truck?
Yeah.
And, because, I mean, a lot of times with heavy-duty trucks, it always comes up, hey, is a heavy-duty truck, is that deleted? I mean, that's always a common question, right? Especially with diesel. But now you have a gas engine, you could say, well, my gas engine is not even more valuable because I don't have DFM, versus your truck has DFM.
Yeah. Well, at some point, what do we get? A Chevrolet that's got a hand crank out there? And that's the last. Because, they went from push start to keys again because of the chip issue, but maybe some of that is GM actually holding back stuff for their 22s.
I mean, there's some theory there. I don't. It's such a weird time to be in an industry. It's typically it's very cyclical and everything always changes and updates, and that's just how things work out. But in this case, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. It's they have best case scenario and what they want to do, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the parts, you can't build it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to, puts guys like me in a quandary where I need to buy a truck this year, but what I'm hearing from every brand is that their trucks won't be available.
Well, maybe you go get a Ford Bronco, buddy, and then you resell it for $30,000 more than you paid for it.
I believe I can go to Georgia and pay $50,000 more for a Bronco if I want to.
I bet you can come here locally and buy one like that. What is, because I have a obviously large Bronco audience, man. What is your take with some of that? Now, you did a video on it. I've done a video on it. They've been widely popular videos, and you would think at some point, I get dealers need product. They need to make profits. We all know 2020 was actually a pretty good year for dealerships, really. I mean, now they're wishing they had some of those vehicles still on the lot. But when does it stop for Bronco? Is it once Ford really starts cranking that plan up, or what is it going to stop with these trucks?
I don't know. And I want to say that because I'm very confused these days as a journalist. I really am confused because there are so many different avenues to go down, right? So I mean, you could read a bunch of news items and get enthralled by the idea of EVs of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a huge battery electric fan and you want Lightning to do well and you want the Rivian to do well and the Cybertruck to do well, you could just completely dismiss Bronco.
Yeah,
you really could. I mean, as a fluke, as a single term stuff. Or you could say that, the battery EV infrastructure is not there and Rivian is way too soon. So you could say that. But what I think is happening and exciting is that we have really smart people that are shopping for new vehicles these days, and people that don't have the same mechanical sense of a prior generation.
Mm-hmm.
And those customers are really shopping for something easy to maintenance, which is EV.
Mm-hmm.
Just fits their lifestyle. Don't need it more, which is EV. And so they're shopping that way, which is great because the market keeps expanding. But then you have the guys, and you've done videos of Bronco owners who are just like, man, they want to go out and play in the mud. They want to go out and play and do stuff, which is completely like a 180 away from the EV people.
Well, so this new Silverado ZR2 sort of is that. GM's claim, hey, we're going EV all the way, but yet they know off-road guys still over there, and they want that big off-road package.
Yeah, so I mean, how do you handle a brand like GM? So GM publicly comes out and announces they're spending billions on battery technology and battery plants, and they're going to stop building gasoline engines.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, you have them offering a 6.2 liter in a ZR2.
Yeah.
What do I do? I got to do my beard tug here. It's a very interesting thing. I don't know.
Did you notice? Did you notice in their launch video for that, they kept showing the gauge and it kept showing like 19 for miles per gallon on the screen of that Silverado, and I was like, that 6.2 is not getting. There's no 19 miles average in that truck.
I was in a brand new, yet to be revealed truck today, and it showed 2.1 mile per gallon on the screen. And I took a video of it, and I was like, "Oh my god, 2.1 Facebook and Twitter, you blow apart."
Right?
And that's how much I believe in those LIO meters.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. I will continue to believe that consumers have all the power,
mm-hmm.
and no matter what companies say, if consumers don't buy it, they don't build it.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like if consumers aren't ready for some changes and the sales aren't there, that manufacturers are gonna have to backpedal.
Well, where do you stand on like Ford with their, supposedly the F-150 EV is like, oh, the sales are through the, it's records for this, and then you see Mustang, and I'll say the Mach-E is, I think there's some interest there because it's just new territory for Ford, and I think that's why the sales have been crazy for it and why it's outsold the gas-powered Mustang initially. But I think that dies off real quick when the real world people understand, oh, I'm only getting 200 miles per this thing, and then I got 8 hours to let it charge. I think they jump right back to a gasoline-powered vehicle.
I think you've seen that sometimes, right? So there's been some stories online of people that bought EVs have gone back to gasoline engines, and the reality from those situations and what I've read on Reddit and different places, people posting stuff, is that it's just a lifestyle change. They went from a house to an apartment building. They went from a townhome to they don't want a public charge anymore. The hurdles with EV are way beyond infrastructure. It's about making it part of your life,
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is more so what's happening with that back and forth. It's so hard to figure out right now. So like, you look at the F-150 Lightning, and they're saying, "Oh my God, we got 120,000 reservations," and Tesla's like, "Oh yeah, we got 100,000 in the first 20 minutes."
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's not really fair because Tesla fans are just fanboys, a lot of cases. And if they would buy that many Cybertrucks, Elon would build a Cybertruck. But it's been delayed yet again. That's the reality of things.
Yeah.
And they look at the F-150 Lightning, and it's like they're saying 120,000 reservations, and they doubled their capacity next year. So they were going to build 40,000. Now they're going to build 80,000. And what that tells me is how confident is Ford in turning those reservations into customers? I don't think they're not. They can't be.
Yeah, it's got to be sort of a false confidence about that because it's so unknown. And Ford, like I said, Ford is new to the EV thing. It's what was it, a year and a half ago that they launched the Mach-E. It's not like they have a long history of hey, we got all these EV customers, and then you've got new brands like Canoo or whatever they're called coming out. They're due. Rivian eventually will actually develop a truck for sale. There's so many brands, and I think this younger generation, we're both in our 40s. We're in a weird situation because we know what it was like from the 70s vehicles that were just a pile of junk, and we know how good these vehicles are today. The generation now in their early 20s, they don't know how bad vehicles used to be. They just think everything's the same. You're also moving. They're more willing because they're all computer savvy. They're willing to just jump to EV because that's it. It's a tech to them. It's not a car. It's just tech.
I think it's interesting is I was asked today by a colleague, and it was a good question. He says, "All right, so by 2023, how many EV trucks do you think will be in the marketplace?" Because startups are going to come and go, right? Yeah. How many are you going to see? So I was like, all right, well, I can see the big players, right? So Chevy's going to have something, GM, and you're going to have GMC, you have Ford will have something, Ram will probably have something by now, right? So then there's three, right? So, to me, the standard automakers who've done this for a long time will figure out how to build one, they'll mainstream, they'll keep it around. That's just what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But once you get beyond that, then you start going, is Rivian going to make it? And I think Rivian's great. I think it's a great looking adventure vehicle. I don't think it's a truck. I think it's a great what they're trying to do with that.
It's a Ridgeline.
But it's a smart approach. And I don't have a problem with that what they're doing at all. I think it's it's not god awful terrible styling.
Yeah.
But somebody did ask me today. They said, okay, so if you can say Rivian's going to make it in 2023, by the time they come out, is their styling going to be outdated?
Oh yeah, it's already outdated.
For what they unveiled, and they've had so many years of waiting until it comes to marketplace. Are they going to be 3-4 years behind? I think that's a really interesting question. Then, like Bollinger, is Bollinger going to make it? I don't think so. I think the concept was flawed from the beginning.
Yeah.
Canoo is a very interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. I don't know how big the marketplace is for that. And then you have a bunch of outliers. That Alpha Wolf wants to build that Tacoma-looking EV. So you have a marketplace that hasn't historically been very EV strong in the truck world. You have customers on the truck side who don't really care for EVs as a political side, among practical factors as well. Mm-hmm. And then you have what are we looking at? 6, 7, 8 probably manufacturers coming into the space, trying to occupy that space of a small customer group. And their job is not just to sell their truck; their job is to convince customers that EV is the future.
Yeah.
That's a tough sell.
These new startups have that problem of they had to show their product too early because they're trying to get money to keep the company afloat. And yeah, like you're saying, by now, Rivian's out. It really is outdated looking now. Right. Where did they go? Because they can't even get that out. And Rivian's the top dog of all the startups, really. They have the most funding. They've got Amazon backing them. They've got Ford backing them. They've got a lot of money sitting there. And I think eventually these companies just get gobbled up by the big companies. I think, and I think that's what some of them were about. I think that's what Lordstown was about. They were hoping that GM were in GM's plant. We're going to get it running for them. And then they buy us up.
Yeah, Lordstown is going to go kaput. There's no way about that. I thought it was interesting. I was talking to Scott Evans last night, and Scott Evans, I hate name dropping all the time, but I do. Scott Evans is Motor Trend, and they just did that Trans-America Trail with Rivian, And I'd read the first part of their stories, and it wasn't really. I had to be nice about it. It wasn't very exciting. Like, I mean, I think that's the big, which is what Rivian wanted, right? So it's not a very exciting. Nothing happened. Truck didn't break down.
Yeah.
They blew a tire. That they had a Ram TRX as their backup vehicle that blew a tire. I mean, just basic on the trail stuff that happens over a long period of trip. But I asked him about charging, and he said charging was fine. A few spots where they could go longer. They find hotel rooms. They could charge at the hotels. I mean, they plan it all out. It's like a 7,000-mile trip. It's from like Tennessee all the way to Oregon.
Oh yeah, I had a buddy do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool trail, but I'm just like, I just don't know what that proves.
I think maybe what they're trying to prove is, hey, you can be away from your charger, but at the end of the day, they're not.
Well, it took them 45 days to make the trip.
Yeah. Because
they had scheduling issues. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved in that. But I found it, I don't know. It seems like we keep having these articles come out that are proving the EVs are the future. And it's like cell phones. If the cell phone we knew when this came out, this is the future, right? I mean, people automatically picked up on that. I mean, they sold like hotcakes. Businessmen had to have them. I mean, was it the BlackBerry was huge for a long time? I mean, that was an obvious hit. Are EVs an obvious hit?
I don't know, because I think Tesla is the benchmark which all EVs really set to. They whether people like them or not, they set the mark that everybody has to now go to. And there was companies like Nissan who could have been there, and they just, for whatever reason with their Leaf program, they just decided, well, let's scale it back a little bit. GM, they've had chances with the Volt and stuff. GM had the EV1 in the late 90s and just totally trashed that. It wasn't viable then. And I don't know, for one, I don't think the mineral resources are there to make mass produced cars. It's just not a viable situation that way. I also think that every one of these manufacturers were going for media points, and they wanted, we're going to be we're going to hit 2030. We're all doing it. And then they kind of were one up, and I think initially it was 2040, and then they all started one upping each other, and to get it down to 30. I'm interested to see what companies like Nissan do, especially with the Aria coming up. Japanese are pretty conservative. They don't really throw their balls out there unless they're ready to play. Toyota's like up in the air. Toyota's been more hydrogen really than anything, which is weird because they were big into the hybrid tech. I'm lost like you. I'm lost at where do we go. I like EV. I like to get in one and floor it, and it just throws you back. But at the end of the day, I don't do that every day. I need a car just to get me to point A to point B. Trucks especially. I said it on the launch of the Lightning. There's no way those are commercially viable for the business. My primary business right now of being in construction, never viable. Nobody drives 10 minutes from their house to the job site. Today I put 100 miles on my truck in a half a day, like it was nothing. And then there's idle time. Like I'm sitting in my truck a lot. I don't know where we go with these EVs, man.
I think the reality is you have to change your lifestyle with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep finding with customers. And could I make an EV work in Nebraska? Yeah, I can make an EV work in Nebraska. I'd be charging it home all the time. I wouldn't be driving towing. I wouldn't be towing at all. Just because I don't believe in the range of towing, and I don't want to have the anxiety of having a camper in the back with like 10 miles of range.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
Maybe psychiatrists love this because there's going to be a new anxiety issues that people have to talk about.
What I think is interesting is let's throw it out there. So supercharged V8s are done, turbocharged V8s are done, V8s as a whole could be done, right? So then we're all going to be driving small displacement turbocharged, and then we're all going to be in hybrids eventually. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's almost like it's forced obsolescence. And they're just taking away choices. And so, as a consumer, I'm like, I don't think I want to say this differently. I've never been less like excited for a generation of trucks coming out than I have what's happening now. So right. The ZR2 is fun. Silverado ZR2 is fun, but to me, it's just like they mailed it in. They just took some parts from Colorado
Yeah.
and put it out there. I mean, it's not like a Raptor competitor, TRX competitor. It's not anything like that at all.
I said this in my video earlier that I think that the ZR2 is the perfect tweener. It's not super horsepower like TRX, and it's not complete desert runner like the Raptor is. It's somewhere in between that GM thought, oh, well, we can throw this in there. Because let's be honest, TRX is a beast, but it's a useless. There's no point to that truck. I mean, because it's not, as far as off-roading, I think the one dude that jumped it over the tiny creek that paid the price, I think he proved real quick that is not a desert running, jumping hopper like the Raptor is. But the Raptor, now they took away the V8. Like, it's not, it looks great, but it's not, when you hear it, it's not fun.
Yeah, and they made the trombone kind of hook up with the exhaust to make it sound better.
But isn't that bad? They had to sell that. They had to point that out in all the launch videos for that. Ford pushed that hard. Oh, the sound.
I know, and that's, I guess that's where I get kind of, I don't get bitter, but I get kind of like, I'm gonna keep my old truck. Yeah. Like, because the new stuff, I mean, it's like it's emissions regulations and the force pushing us to these directions and such. It's sucking the lifeblood out of excitement of being a truck fan.
Yeah.
And that, so I remember when I bought my hybrid, people were like, are you going to lift it? You going to put bigger tires on it? I'm like, no. It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
So, but that was the mentality. The mentality was every new truck got to be lifted. I mean, I have cousins who believe that every truck looks better lifted.
Right.
And they will lift every truck that buys them. And so then I'm going to tell them, you're going to go get a new 3.5 liter hybrid that's going to get good fuel economy. And the first thing to do is lift it. It's like you're just fighting a trend. It's just the trend's not there. So I don't know. I just it's a weird place to be in the industry, a weird place for me to be, and trying to understand like what consumers want and are they getting the needs met? I don't think they are. I don't think automakers are like every automaker tells me that listen to our customers. I heard that today at the press conference, and I was like, I am your customer.
Yeah.
I'm your customer, and I'm not excited by your truck.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you tell people like that who spend 3 years to develop this new powertrain. It's going to be awesome and phenomenal, and you're just like, not really. Thanks, anyways.
Well, does some of this with these companies now going these smaller displacement engines and turbos and all this, is some of it politically driven? Do you think that sadly, instead of building the better mousetrap, it's like, well, now we have to have the image that it's the better mousetrap, and because we've been in the past 5 years, especially like politically, just like it's a charge, since Trump or whatever your opinions of it, we've been in either you love it or hate it. There's no in between, and these companies now, you see it, they're all playing to, look at that video I watched of GM's launch. There was a lot of women in that video, which I think's awesome, but at the same point, covering this stuff a little bit, I'm like, they're pushing something. There's agendas that aren't automotive driven now, and I feel like some of the vehicles we're getting are getting to be, it takes 5 years or so to develop it. So they were all excited by whatever was happening in 17, 18. Now they're going to be late to it when people are done with that, and the manly man guy wants his big V8 truck back, and from playing the sides, I think that they're behind now.
A lot of it's politically driven. I mean, the EPA, for better or worse, become a political animal, and the CAFE rules that used to be rewritten every 10 years, now being written every time a president takes office. Yeah. And every time a president takes office, they rewrite the CAFE to mirror their agenda, right. How they see things. I will go on record saying I think global warming is an actual thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a question about that. I think the question is more about how we deal with it. How do we respond to it is the bigger question, and whether we make a difference or not. And I'm watching these airplanes flying in, and airplanes and boats and trains are some of the most polluting vehicles out there. They always talk about like transportation is like accounts for 25% of emissions, and that's completely bullshit because transportation includes planes, trains, automobiles.
Yes,
includes all of it. And so, I mean, we were talking last night about 12 miles outside of California, they can actually ships run bunker diesel fuel, which is just black smoke and emissions going right in the environment because they're in international waters, and they can because it's cheaper, and so it's like it's such a complex thing, and I always go back to it. I'm like, we talk about global warming. Okay, we talk about global air quality. Wait a minute, there's a common word there, global.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mystified by the idea that you buying an EV car tomorrow is going to help to change the air quality. I appreciate everybody doing their part, but the bigger thing to do, bigger part, is that we need to spend the money on infrastructure to get more and technology, get more planes and buses and semis and boats to run cleaner. And we need India and China to get on board.
Yeah,
we don't have India and China on board. I mean, it's like I've thought about this for a while. It's like if everybody in the world buys, or everybody in the United States buys an EV car. Let's just say that happens because that's what we're getting pushed towards. Everybody buys an EV car. Will we really improve air quality? Not really. Not really. I mean, because again, it's global. The air quality is over global, and we're not going to do it. So I did look at the numbers, and I think there's a big benefit from going from a V8 to a hybrid. If you go, like in Nebraska, if you go from a V8 to a hybrid, you save about 5,000 pounds of CO2 each year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. But from a hybrid to a full electric is 1,000 pounds of CO2. So the difference there isn't very much.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about cash for clunkers and you have your opinion on it, but I've always thought that programs like that have actually improved the air quality and have actually improved the fuel economy of the overall U.S. fleet, which has been a big benefit. So, yeah, a lot of vehicles got destroyed, and I appreciate the sadness there.
Well,
but
the only bummer I had with that was there was new vehicles that were instantly eligible for that, and that's the only bummer for me. I remember as a kid, you would see these old, rusted out vehicles from the 60s and 70s still on the roads in the early 90s, and then Tennessee, we started doing checking for emissions and all that, and it took a lot of that stuff off the road, that was a great thing. I know I was big in the Nissan world at the time, and there was brand new Xteras that qualified for that to be crushed.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think that the problem that we run into is we're so like now culture that when you look at the EPA's air quality reports, you'll see that we've really done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always mystified by this. Like, why don't people talk about how the good job we've done? Like, we've done a great job improving the air in the last 30 years. Can we do better? Sure. Can I lose another 5 pounds, do better when I'm eating? Sure. I mean, we all can, right? I mean, it's not like it's anything that's too rocket science, but I'm mystified by why we're so driven to force people to make these changes.
Right.
And for a population that has so far, frankly, hasn't wanted to. And I think one of the saddest things I've been seeing lately is a lot of Tesla owners have been talking about they sold their Tesla, went and bought a Mustang Mach-E, or they went and bought a in line for the Cadillac Lyriq or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a bad thing. And I don't think people are seeing it that way, but I think it's bad because we need more people to leave ICE engines and buy EVs. They're not doing it. EV fans are buying new EVs.
Well, it's almost like politics anymore. There's just one side or the other, and I feel like that's the way EV guy is. Like there's no and the combustible engine guy, he doesn't really want to go to that, especially guys our age group. Really, like
no interest.
Yeah,
well, it's like because we have power tools. We have battery powered power tools.
Mm-hmm.
In my DeWalt drill, I carry 2 batteries because one of some bitches ain't gonna work.
Right.
And that's what's gonna happen. So it's like we've gone through the battery thing. We know technology is temperamental. I mean, YouTube didn't even exist 10 years ago, and here we are talking live from an airport in Dallas, and you're in Tennessee on YouTube. I mean, things change quickly, but we're still a little conservative about how fast it changes to happen. I don't know. I'm so. I don't know what to think anymore because I'm just waiting. The consumers I'm talking to, it's such a weird mix of people.
Yeah.
Some people just love the idea of EVs. They love the idea. And I didn't realize that going to a gas station was a big problem for people, but apparently it is for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that we have this whole culture around it. And we haven't tapped into renewable diesel, renewable gasoline that has no emissions. We haven't talked into hydrogen. It's like all of a sudden, like we've settled the VHS beta debate, done.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's a lot of other factors involved there, and we need to just keep working out, which one is going. Oh, so somebody corrected me on YouTube. Came out in 2006. Okay, well, sorry, I'm a little behind on that one, but we got 15 years now. So lots of changes happening.
In Valley Dude, it came out in 15 or 5 because I've been on YouTube. I a proud moment for me, Tim. I put the first land surveyor video ever on YouTube.
Oh,
I know. I put that on my resume. Trust me, it's gotten me a lot of jobs.
is it on your LinkedIn account?
Yeah. So where would you, if you had two choices, we'll say Rivian or Cybertruck, and those were the only EV trucks going to be out there. Let's throw Ford out there too. We'll throw those three. Where do you think the longevity for each one? Which one is it the Ford name that's gonna kind of be the king of the mountain, or does the new kid on the block, Tesla, kind of, because they've got that cool factor?
I think Tesla is going to have a hard time building a Cybertruck to meet FMVSS regulations. So Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. I think they have a hard time being that. So I'm still on the fence on whether that truck even comes to market.
Yeah.
I really have some problems with that. I think Rivian is going to be a niche product. I think we're talking a lot about it. But I think we look at Rivian's total sales because of issues as far as service and parts and dealerships and such. I think it's going to be a very niche product for sure. At the end of the day, it's almost like that's where Ford wins because Ford's going to have a really hard time soon because I believe that dealerships play a larger role in the automotive market than we give them credit for, and not just the dealerships are they good or bad. No, it's the volume of dealerships and where the dealerships are located.
Right.
And so Ford's got lots of dealerships in rural areas, and they got lots of salesmen. And if Ford can sell an EV, I think that can fundamentally change, the world. If that Lightning becomes, the biggest, baddest thing that they keep talking about.
Well,
because they have dealerships. Because they have, in Dallas, they have Dallas. I'm sitting in Dallas. They have like 20 dealerships on here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I still think though that all these companies, the dealerships are dead. I still believe that. I think at some point they just become a pickup and delivery area, and they're a service department, and that's about all they're good for anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's some philosophy there behind that too. People like buying stuff online. Carvana's kind of changed that approach as well. COVID helped spur that on.
Sure.
But it's hard to break a service model you've had for 60 years, 70 years, something like that.
Oh yeah, but if you would have told me 25 years ago that I would buy most of my stuff off of online account, I would have said you're crazy.
Yeah, if you said we were living on, with the cloud, I'd be looking up at the sky, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, you're right. Things do move fast, and that's where we're in a really interesting place. It's exciting to report on because I don't know what every day is going to be like. I don't know what I'm going to get at press conferences. I don't know what I'm going to get like as far as news releases and stuff. I know what the future is, and it's exciting to, report on what else is doing and to try to understand like. Our consumers really wanting that, and I know what I want. I want a good basic work truck that has a V8, but I can't get that.
Or at least sounds like it when you shut the door because they'll pipe that sound in.
Well, at least it sounds, decent. I mean, I want something I'm going to be proud of to drive home and something I can show off, something I feel good about. And I think that's getting harder and harder with the current generation of vehicles out there. I mean, and I'm getting cynical here because I have driven so many new vehicles. I just always find issues I don't like with them, and I'd love to start my own automotive company. Just this is what we're doing, But
John,
I don't think it's the future.
John Walsh brought up a good point. He said if Ford can't make an EV truck sell, no one can, and that's a good point. If the big three can't, I'll say the big three. If they can't sell an EV truck, nobody's going to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the thing is, they're selling an EV truck in rural America that has been anti-EV.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't make that work by whatever marketing strategy you come up with, it's going to be hard pressed for me to see other EVs take off in the volume markets or full size trucks.
Right. Well, let's get back to gas for just a second. What is the most exciting thing of 21 truck wise? I mean, because this has been sort of a dull year. I mean, other than like Bronco's been a rage of talk for me, just because it's new, it's something to talk about. GM till recently has had zero to talk about. Ford, we had the Lightning, but I think the thunder of that sort of died down until I actually see them on the road. Toyota, there's been the rumors that we're getting a Tundra sometime. And then, Nissan, there's rumors floating around that the Titan goes away. So it's been a weird, like trucks right now are in a weird position.
I think the biggest news from 21 and the one that I'm personally excited about is Maverick.
Yeah.
I think Maverick is such a game changer. It's gonna spell the doom to sedans, mid-size, full-size sedans. Like, why would you get a mid-size, full-size sedan when you get better fuel economy out of a little pickup, and you don't have to crawl in the sedan all the time, and you have more cargo room? I just, and from a city standpoint, I've said for a while, I said, if you get 40 miles per gallon city out of a compact pickup truck, why the fuck would you buy an EV?
Yeah.
Or language, but it's like because 40 mile per gallon city. When I lived in Denver, if you give me 40 mile per gallon city, I mean, with 13-gallon tank, I'm filling up every month and a half, month maybe.
Yeah.
So I got $30 every month versus plugging my vehicle in every day. I mean, so much simpler. And so I just think that the Maverick, it could spark a new industry as well as a new category of trucks. And I just don't understand. I don't understand an EV buyer wanting an EV when the Maverick is sitting right there. And you get, fuel economy, you have the size. I mean, you just have all that stuff going on there.
And all those Cybertruck guys, let's be honest, they are not truck guys. They're just, that's the newest, latest thing from Tesla that I want. And even kind of the F-150 EV stuff, that's not a truck guy right now buying those. It's somebody just curious.
I mean, I've owned trucks for 20 years. I've never needed more space in my truck. I've never needed more front room under the hood or more baggage.
Yeah.
I've never said, my goodness, I wish I had more cargo room to carry stuff in my truck.
Yeah.
I've never thought that. Like, and for me, the truck is the ultimate utilitarian go wherever you want to vehicle. Like, if I had my truck here today, I could drive home tonight and just drive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think twice about that, right? But yet, with the Lightning, I got to plan things out differently. I got to plan out my journey. And it was interesting, like I said, with the motor trend thing, 45 days to go 7,000 miles, and I thought it was a big victory lap for him. And I was like, that sucks. Like, I don't have 45 days to spend on the trail. I don't know that I even want to. And so
that would sound horrible to me, honestly. And I like being outdoors and off road. That just sounds horrible.
Yeah, I don't. There's nothing about that that's appealing to me as far as that much time on road. So, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what it works out, what the future looks like, and what's exciting. I still think that Maverick is the biggest news item this year. It's gonna be downplayed because of all the exciting other stuff news item out there. But from a consumer standpoint, like, I talked to my wife about buying one because for her needs and around town, and then she can drive to Denver when she wants to, and she can carry over there. She can go to IKEA and do her IKEA run and get everything she needs.
Yeah.
And come back to the house without worrying about charging it up, which I don't want her to worry about charging it up. I don't want her to be able to stop at the gas station, fill up, and drive.
Yeah.
Because that's what she's good at.
When is Ford going to start delivering the Mavericks?
I'm thinking it was next year. I thought everything was next year.
Okay, I was thinking that they actually were going to get them out this fall.
So there's supposed to be immediate drive in a few weeks, but I usually be maybe November. But I'm hearing that the hybrid's going to be delayed because of parts shortages.
Yeah. Well, who has to be kicking themselves with all that is Honda. Honda tried to make that. They tried to make a Maverick compete with the big trucks. They fail at that because they didn't understand that market. And they sort of have sales because Honda guy just likes Honda. But yeah, if they would have just went smaller and worried about fuel economy with a sort of bet on it, like Honda had this market.
Well, you know who's really kicking themselves? It's Hyundai.
Yeah.
Hyundai unveiled the Santa Cruz like in what,
17?
18?
17.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if they'd have came to market, they'd have such a head start. And instead, they waited until after Ford came with the Maverick, and now it's like a Maverick versus Santa Cruz competition. It's not going to end well for Hyundai.
Yeah.
Hyundai is more expensive, less fuel economy. It's not as good.
Yeah. So what's coming up on your channel, man? Anything good?
Oh, what is coming up? I don't know.
Obviously, you and Jill fighting.
Yes, that's always the constant thing. I want to say next couple weeks a little slow. There's not much going on. We have some reviews going up, which is typical. We have a news item in a couple weeks that'll be exciting. And then once we get done with that, I think the year is going to be kind of a end on a low note. There's not much else going up for manufacturers, right? So we have Ram announced, we have Chevy announced, we have GMC's going to announce what they're doing. We have Ford announced what they're doing basically because they spent all their money. They shoot off everything they had. Toyota will show off what they're going to do. Nissan's going to do anything new. There is some conversation about the GMC Hummer first drive, which should be interesting. I mean, $100 and some $1,000 SUV off road. That's going to be.
You better crab walk, man. You better crab walk.
I know. Better crab walk.
What a dumb sales pitch for that. I don't get that thing, but that's I don't get that vehicle at all though.
Yeah, I think that's coming up. I have a lot of Toyota news coming up next couple weeks. And again, just kind of keeping my ear to the ground. I'm going to keep following this Duramax diesel situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep following whatever news item that comes up, whatever engine issue comes up, and I'll be curious to see what happens with these hybrids and things, and what customers are going to end up ultimately buying. Because at the end of the day, it's capitalism. Consumers rule.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll be watching because I'm curious now that you've gotten rid of your F-150 hybrid. I'm curious what you're gonna buy next.
Yeah, me too.
I know you've been researching vehicles while you've been sitting there. But
yeah, I've been looking and I've been thinking, and it's I don't know what to do. I really don't at this point. I'm gonna I'll have announcements as this channel keeps going. I mean, there's been some changes and things, but I'll announce that stuff when it gets closer. So
yeah,
I don't know. I got to buy something this year, or I got to pay some taxes, and I have an accountant I have a meeting with my accountant, so.
They don't like paying. They don't like paying taxes either. They don't like people.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I better go catch my plane.
All right. Well, guys, this is the end of the show, anyways. So, Tim, I appreciate you jumping on, man.
Sure. Anytime.
All right, dude.
All right.
All right. So there you go, guys. I'm glad Tim just stopped by and talked to a little bit of shop with us. I've done an hour here, and sadly, I have somewhere I have to be. So that was fun, and we got Bronco Talk on Tuesday coming up. It'll be on Tuesday this week because of my girls softball team. So there you go. Instagram, find me there if you got any questions. Hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you. I'm on somewhere. I'm on a social media somewhere. So whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, you know the drill. It does not matter what you drive. This has been your all-terrain